Okay, so let's talk about the who a little bit more specifically. There are some precise names that we want to give to the who when we're thinking about the context of our data. If we're going to survey people, you usually don't survey animals or inanimate objects. So when we survey people, we call those people respondents, which should be pretty easy because you're asking them a question and they are responding to your question. But what if we get into an experiment? When we're dealing with experiments and we are experimenting on people, and I have these lovely people here that I would be experimenting on, we call people that we experiment on subjects. Or sometimes they are called participants. Once again, that makes sense because, especially with participants, because they are participating in an experiment. Okay? And they've made that choice most of the time, and they're being experimented on. So with the survey of people, they are called respondents. In an experiment on people, they're called subjects or participants. Now, if we are experimenting on lab rats or animals, or maybe on plants or some other kind of object, our experiment is we are no longer experimenting on subjects or participants, because most of the time those lab rats don't really have a choice, so they did not choose to participate. We call those lab rats or animals or plants experimental units. A little bit less personal. Animals and plants are probably a little bit less personal than experimenting on people. So when we experiment on people, subjects are participants, and when we experiment on plants or animals or other objects, those are called experimental units. Now, if we're just looking at data itself, once we've collected all of it, the data values themselves are sometimes called observations. So you've got a survey of people, you are surveying respondents. An experiment on people is an experiment on subjects or participants. An experiment on animals or plants or objects, experimental units. And when you collect all of that data, the data that we have collected is called, or they are called, observations.